For as long as we've been around, we humans have been on this quest. A quest to find some kind of order, some meaning, in a world that often feels just completely chaotic.
And what's wild is that throughout history, we keep finding that meaning in a pretty surprising place. There's this fascinating pattern. We take whatever it is we're most afraid of, or what we absolutely rely on for our very survival, and we turn it into our gods.
I mean, that search for safety, it never stops, right? And as our world changed, so did the faces of our gods, our protectors. They evolved from these raw, powerful forces of nature into the very human institutions that promised us security.
Because at the end of the day, what we're all really searching for is a sense of control. But here's the really unsettling part. The forces that are shaping our lives today, they might just be the most powerful we've ever faced. And it's precisely because they're invisible, working away in the background, quietly steering our world.
So that begs the question, who are these modern gods? Well, this explainer is a journey through time, from humanity's very first campfires all the way to the dawn of an entirely new age, the age of the algorithm.
All right, so let's rewind, way back. Picture this, you're an early human, and you are completely, utterly at the mercy of nature. You can't control the weather, you can't guarantee a successful hunt, and you definitely can't control the predators out there in the dark. In a world like that, what do? Well, you deify the very things you have no control over.
And the psychology here is it's incredible. Try to put yourself in an ancient tribe during a violent storm. Boom! Lightning cracks across the sky. Now, to the human mind, which is just wired to find patterns, that can't possibly be random. No way. It has to be an angry god up there. So what's the next logical step? We have to worship it. We have to appease it. We have to do whatever it takes to survive.
And just like that, suddenly, everything becomes a potential god. Thunder, the rain, the animals you hunt for food, the predators that hunt you. But above all of them, there was fire. Fire was a true game changer. It gave us warmth, it cooked our food, it protected us. To control fire was to control life itself. So of course, it became divine.
And that's how things were for thousands and thousands of years. But then, bam, a revolution hits. Agriculture. The moment we figured out how to grow our own food, everything changed. We settled down. Little villages turned into towns, towns grew into cities, and cities became massive kingdoms. And with that shift, the very nature of our biggest threat changed completely.
So as we started farming and settling down, our prayers naturally shifted, to the gods of the harvest, the sun, the rain. But something else came along with all these stored resources and dense populations, a new, and frankly, a far more dangerous predator. And this right here is the big turning point. The biggest danger to your survival wasn't a wild animal anymore. It was the neighboring kingdom. It was other people. Suddenly, survival depended on winning wars. And in an age of constant warfare, you need a powerful leader. You need a king.
So how do you hold on to power in a world like that? Well, these new kings were clever. They claimed a direct line to the gods. By tapping into that shared belief, they created trust. And trust is the glue you need to build bigger armies, more stable societies, and sprawling empires. It became the ultimate tool for getting huge groups of people to cooperate.
But there was a huge problem with this whole divine right of kings thing. History written by kings was often, it was written in blood. Every time power changed hands, it descended into violent chaos. After centuries of this, a brand new, totally radical idea started to bubble up: democracy.
But this new system, it didn't just pop up out of thin air. No, it was actually a clever copy of the very structures it was replacing. The absolute authority that sacred texts used to hold, that got transferred to constitutions. The priests who interpreted those texts, they became politicians. And the divine right of kings, that was reborn as the rule of law.
Just stop and think about what this means. Your personal faith could still guide your private life, sure, but in the public square, when it came to running the country, the Constitution was now the final word. Its goal wasn't spiritual salvation, its goal was societal order and the wielding of real-world power.
And all of that brings us to today. Right now, we are standing on the edge of the next great power shift, and this one is happening faster and more quietly than any that came before it.
We are entering the age of the algorithmic gods. These are the new, invisible forces shaping your reality every single day, whether you realize it or not.
No, really, think about it. The videos that YouTube recommends to you aren't just entertainment, they are actively shaping your worldview. The feed that TikTok curates for you, it's influencing what you think is important in the world. The answers an AI gives you about complex global issues, they don't just reflect reality, they are creating your reality.
But here's the truly mind-bending difference in how this new power works. A king needed an army to enforce his will. A democracy needs your vote to function. Algorithms, they don't need your consent, they don't need you to believe in them, they just operate on data, quietly influencing your behavior without ever asking for your permission.
And that leads us to a really uncomfortable, even haunting question. As these systems get better and better at managing society, arguably more efficiently than our messy democratic process ever could, what happens to democracy itself? Are we going to trade our freedom for efficiency? You know, as we've walked through history here, we've seen that every single one of these massive power shifts has a price tag. Moving from the gods of nature to god kings, and from those kings to constitutions, each step reshaped our world. So as we step into this new age, we have to ask, what's the price of this transition?
It's wild, right? When you lay it all out like this, the pattern is crystal clear. The gods of nature ruled through fear. The god kings ruled through physical force. Constitutional systems rule through laws. But the algorithmic gods? They rule through something far more subtle. They rule through the choices we don't even realize we're not making for ourselves.
And that leaves us with some pretty massive questions. Maybe the most important questions of our time. Since these new gods are totally invisible, will we even recognize their power before it becomes absolute? I mean, let's be honest, history tells us these transitions are almost never peaceful. Democracy was born from bloody revolutions. Can this time be different? Can we actually guide this incredible new power into place peacefully?
Or are we doomed to repeat the past? Will this next great transformation follow the old patterns and be written not in clean, elegant code, but in chaos? That, right there, is the choice and the challenge that lies before every single one of us.